Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today, we are talking with Aoife McCormack. She helps highly sensitive, intuitive women recover their health and energy. We're so glad to have you here, Aoife, and looking forward to hearing all about what you're doing out there. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to connect with you, Jill, and just, so nice to be here. And I'm looking forward to sharing whatever wisdom, experience, tools that I have that might help someone that's struggling today.
Awesome. That is awesome. And you're joining us from Spain. I'm getting to be, around the world here.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm Irish, so I'm from Ireland, but I'm in Mallorca at the moment.
Very fun, very fun. So tell us a little bit about how you actually got started in all of this. What's your story?
Yes. Yeah. So when I was a little girl, I was so sensitive, like just crazy, crazy sensitive. I could feel and empathic. So I could just feel everyone else's emotions. Everything was very big, feelings, light sensitivity. I was just very, very sensitive. And I could and intuitive, I could tell what was going on for other people very easily. And so it was like I was getting a lot of information, processing a lot more information than most people. And I also, from a really early age, like maybe 3 or 4 years old, I started to complain of stomach problems. And then I had low immune system, like I was getting sick very often. Then I started to get high fevers, like my body was actually running a very high, dangerously high temperature, but there was no infection. So I was already having health problems from a really young age. And, my parents are doctors. My dad's a doctor. And so I had access to really great medical care and lots of different doctors and pediatricians. And my parents are also really open. So they were taking me to holistic practitioners as well, different kinds of homeopathy and Chinese herbs and allergy testing and all kinds of things. So I had, access, very privileged access to all these things. Yet the response that I got from everyone was very vague, or it was conflicting information, or everyone thought something different. So we were really just, at such a loss. But, one thing that we looked at was food, to blame food for the stomach problems. So I went off wheat and dairy, and I had intolerance testing done, and I went off sugar. I had like thrush and candida problems. So they would say, stop eating sugar, it's feeding the candida and all these things. So, all of these things that are quite becoming quite popular right now to do, I was really practicing these from such a young age, but nothing was working. I kept getting sicker. And when we moved, I was born in London. And when we moved from London to Ireland, we that Christmas, and I now because of what I know, I now understand exactly why this happened. But the Christmas that we moved, I was only 7 years old, and I got my fevers, my unexplained fevers went through the roof, and I was taken into hospital for like 7 days, and the top pediatrician in Ireland ran these tests on me. And when they let me out of hospital, I forget what they say when they let you go. That they decided that they actually put on my medical records that I was mystery girl. And they told my parents that if they ignored it, that I would grow out of it. And this just didn't happen, obviously. So I went on to live my life and, experienced, a trauma or two, that typically happens to someone in their lifetime, like bullying. And I missed a lot of school because I was sick. And then when I got my period, I got really severe period pain, like really, really severe period pain. So again, I was back in the hospital getting my body scanned, all parts of me scanned and x-rayed, and again, it was like inconclusive, she'll grow out of it. It's hormonal. I had acne all over my face. It's hormonal. She'll grow out of it. So, and all the while, I just remember, like, I just really wanted to know why, like, why it's hormonal, but why, like, why were all these things happening to me? And I remember crying in the car at my dad. I'm like, you're a doctor. Like, what are they teaching you all? Like, why does no one know? Why can no one tell me what's going on? And then I kind of started self-medicating, to be honest. I was like, in Ireland, it's very common to be drinking alcohol in large amounts. And I found when I started drinking alcohol and experimenting with recreational drugs, that I did feel some kind of like an edge was taken off life, like a very tense part of me was kind of relieved. So I did that, participated in that for several years, but and I felt poorly. I didn't feel great all weekend, drinking and partying so much. I didn't feel great, but at that time I blamed it on the alcohol. So, but there I was then in my early 20s. I'm not feeling good. I'm mostly during the week I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and then on the weekends I'm partying. So I decide I'm going to stop drinking and partying, and I'm going to get my life together. I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be happy. So I took to the health world, right? And I went, the first thing, of course, was back to the elimination diets. No wheat, no sugar. Someone put me on a candida diet, and they said, you're riddled with candida. So we're going to put you on this diet, and in 6 months' time, you're going to be good to go. And I thought, wow, in 6 months' time, everything's going to be perfect. And so I went on like the strict candida diet, but nothing changed. I just started to become very fearful of food and fearful of like what all this fungus was in my body and what it was doing. And fast forward 6 years later, after the first candida diet, I was still unable to eat any sugar, any gluten, any wheat. Like, I was on these really strict diets. I was not any better. I was terrified of food. I was neurotic about my environment because anything at any time could kick off a flare. I'd been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, carpal tunnel, IBS, bladder syndrome. I had depression, I had anxiety. And I basically experienced some more traumatic events, a car crash, and a friend of mine took her own life. And I just hit rock bottom, like it was too much. I was barely able to hold down a job with all these symptoms and diagnoses and diets and supplements, and spending all my money going to healers and different therapists. So I was really burnt out trying to get better on the one hand. And on the other hand, I was really, really sick, and no one in 30 years was able to help me. So I just hit rock bottom. I was so scared and so depressed. I felt really suicidal, and I had to apply for disability benefits in my early 30s. You know, all my friends are getting married, having babies, going traveling, going to festivals, just doing whatever version of life they're doing. And I was just slipping further and further away. My parents were my caretakers, essentially. So it was pretty grim. It was very, very grim. But the good news is I was lying in bed one day, and my friend, she sent me a link to this video, this doctor speaking about the mind-body connection. And my first initial response was just to roll my eyes. You know, people are always giving me this unsolicited advice. I should do more yoga. I should breathe better, cold showers, whatever. And it's really frustrating when you're trying and doing everything and nothing is really working. So, but there I was, very desperate and really, really wanting my life back from this. I felt like my life had just been stolen, like my soul had been hijacked by these symptoms and this illness. I wasn't listening to music anymore. I wasn't dancing. I didn't eat food in restaurants. I missed my best friend's wedding. I couldn't travel. I couldn't get out of bed, you know? So anyway, there I am. I roll over in the bed. I watch this talk, this 5-minute video on the mind-body connection. And for me, this is the moment that everything changed, because I realized essentially the biology of stress. And I realized that my nervous system was connected to every nerve fiber in my body, everything. So instead of having 99 different problems, mental health, physical health, stomach, wrist, bladder, instead of everything being a separate issue with a separate medication and a separate therapist, I suddenly just had one problem. And that was, I was in a state of chronic stress. And then I only had to find one solution, and that is, how do I get out of this state of stress? So immediately I was relieved of a huge, huge burden, that I had these incurable problems that could never, be cured, and I could never recover from. And they were mysterious. I was mystery girl, unexplained problems. I just felt like such a weirdo, and suddenly so much weight was dropped from my shoulders, and I focused then on this one problem with this one solution. And in just a matter of weeks, when I dived into this process, I walked to my local shop and I bought a packet of Mars bar ice creams and a 6-pack of Guinness, because I had been living like a monk for over 6 years or more. And I ate the ice creams, and I had some of the Guinness, and I didn't have any IBS symptoms, and I never did again. So I healed 30 years of food intolerances, IBS, in such a short space of time, with no supplements, not even therapy or anything, just literally rewiring my mind and my body. So that was a huge, huge, huge moment in my life as well. And from that moment on, then I had the proof, right? I wasn't like, boom, poof, cured, I was really, really sick. So that was the moment I had this real solid proof when I first heard the information was the first moment, this makes sense to me. This makes total sense to me. Then I apply the process and I get such a dramatic result. So I'm like, okay, we're rolling with this now. And from then on, it was a process of me finding the tools that work for me to continue to use my nervous system to allow my body to go into a state of healing and rewire all these problems, all these physical manifestations of stress that I had, rewire them so that my body could heal and my life, I could get my life back and I could really start to thrive in a way that I hadn't before.
That is so powerful. I actually, as you're talking, it reminded me of someone else I spoke with not that long ago who was actually got science behind what you're talking about. When your body gets into a state of stress and you're experiencing pain and discomfort in various parts, after 6 months, it becomes chronic. And your body, the whatever was bothering you initially may already have dissipated, but your brain has been wired and your whole nervous system has been wired to keep sending you these signals, the panic signals, that for no reason at all, you have to rewire. It is so fantastic that you are able to do this and that you're helping other people do this.
Yeah, it's such an honor. I never thought, I didn't know the way out. So to have found the way out is just like amazing in itself. But then to be able to pass on this information and to help others is such a gift. And yeah, like one of the doctors who kind of founded Mind Body Medicine, he says like that the femur is the longest bone in the body, and if the femur breaks, I don't know, he says either 6 weeks or 6 months, it's 6 something that it takes to heal. He said any pain that's gone on longer than that amount of time is learned neural pathway pain, and that can be unlearned. Yeah. And so you can see that also with phantom leg pain. They say that when veterans from a war or anyone who may have lost a limb, they can experience pain, very real, very excruciating pain in a limb that's no longer there. Yep. So these learned neural pathways. But for anyone who's listening, that's like, well, I don't have pain. I have an ulcer or a burning mouth or itchy eyes or, I had IBS. But the nervous system, when you're in fight or flight, this stress mode, your digestion isn't supposed to work. If there's a bus about to crash into you, you're not supposed to have all the energy in your stomach to digest. And they say what happens is when the nervous system is in fight or flight, there's actually a mild oxygen deprivation. So in different people, it's probably widespread, the oxygen deprivation, but then it's more concentrated in different areas. So if you're having a lot of depression or fatigue, there's like literally not enough oxygen getting to your brain for you to get the serotonin, which are your good and happy thoughts, or your oxytocin, which makes you feel connected and loved, and makes you feel joy from music or puppies or whatever brings you joy. And if it's a migraine, there's like not enough oxygen getting to those arteries. It's like and also the emotional center is synonymous with your pain center. So when you're in emotional distress, especially with the society that we're born into, where emotions have been taboo and not allowed, and so but they're still going to happen. So it's socially, it's actually more, so it's more socially acceptable to experience pain, especially, I think, I mean, I can only speculate, but for men, they often get back pain. because, you know, it's more socially acceptable for them to say they have back pain, can someone support me, than I have an emotion, or I'm feeling emotional, or sad or angry about something. So for me, I had a lot of emotions. I was so highly sensitive, you know, several different traumas. And the other thing is, like I mentioned about the guys, when we're born, our brains are little sponges, and we're to absorb information from the world around us, and we're to absorb this information, like download it like programs onto an operating system, so that we then know how to operate going forward in life. When we're like 7, they've all been like set up and they're running. So the programs that I got, and I can only speak for myself really, are, you know, I got a lot of programs that made me believe I was not very worthy of a person, and that I should not make a fuss. I should, you know, when I was good, like if I had a lot of good behavior, I got praise, I got love for this. And I didn't want to, if I was like maybe bad or expressed too much, maybe I stressed out the people around me. So I learned to like quieten all that down. And, you know, so I learned all these mechanisms for living. I downloaded all these programs for living. I believed I should be like a caretaker. I should be taking care of everyone around me. And I felt guilty if I took care of myself. All these programs that are like, it's like having these really outdated programs, like the programs that go back as far as when typewriters were invented. But you're like a Mac Air 2023, and you've all these like really ancient old programs, and you're trying to run this system, and it's just like there's just like smoke coming out, there's like system malfunction, like everything's breaking down in the body, because it's just the programs coming up against your life force energy that is far more advanced than these antiquated programs that you have. And men get different ones, women get different ones, but I work with women because I understand the ones that women get more, and because I have the lived experience. So really starting to be able to identify what your unique health like stressors are, what outdated programs you're running. Some of us have really similar ones, you know, and then others will be really unique to us. And starting to see that, you know, I used to think that I was my programs 100%. I thought I'm just this like self-sacrificing human that always puts others first and jumps to take care of anyone anytime, and just it doesn't make a fuss and does what I'm told and all these things. I thought that was my personality. And then I started to see, whoa, like the amount of resentment that's building up in me, the amount of anger and guilt and that's generating in me all day is insane. And no wonder I'm sick and burnt out and can't get out of bed and super angry. I have all these needs that I'm not even attending to myself. I have all these, I need connection, I need love, I need support, I need to feel safe when I express myself, I need to express certain things, and I was not doing any of that. So I'd learned to just, you know, keep in this tiny little box. So it's really a journey of breaking out of that box, which can also be scary and can also be a little bit stressful. So that's where the support and the guidance can be really, really helpful, because you start to step out into uncharted territory, you know, starting to have awkward conversations you haven't had before, starting to use boundaries you never did before, starting to say no when you never did before, or starting to take breaks when you never did before. And all these things can feel quite scary at first, but when they start to become your more normal lived experience, then you really start to feel more safe in this world, more capable, more empowered, more peace, less anger, resentment, guilt. And that really helps for your nervous system to come out of fight or flight and start to regulate itself so the body can heal, because the nervous system is connected to every part of your body.
Did you find that when you were going through this, that your circle of friends changed?
Yes, lots of things changed. One particular thing about my friendships is I used to have thousands of friends. Because I was obviously a bit trying to fill a void in myself and looking for connection. And, I loved all those friends. I don't regret any of those friendships that I made, but I was out there just constantly making new friends. I had big circle of friends, and no wonder also I was exhausted. And so that has really dramatically changed. And I now have just a little handful of people who are really important to me. And life is so much easier. I was always letting people down. It's impossible to keep that afloat, that system of so many friends, so many relationships. And I was always like letting people down. And I was trying to, like, the worst nightmare for a people pleaser, trying to manage that whole system. And then, of course, lots of other things in my relationships changed as well. People definitely fell away in different ways. And then, for me, I'm really glad, like, for me, my family were really always very an important relationships to me. It's not the same for everyone, but it really meant the world to me to empower and heal these particular relationships for me. And so for me, I'm lucky that that going on this journey did actually do that. And I have a really rich relationship now with my parents and my brothers and my family. And that was so important to me. And I didn't before, we were always fighting, and there was just so much, just different types of pain and patterns. So for me, that's is something I'm really proud of myself for. Sometimes when I'm like, what am I doing in life? Like, what's going on? You have those moments. And it's one of my biggest reminders is like, well, look at these relationships, how beautiful they have become when I didn't know how that would ever be possible at some points in my life.
It's interesting how once we become who we are, then our relationships with others changes. Sometimes it can be really great and fantastic, and other times people are just like, I don't know who you are anymore, and I don't resonate with that frequency. But it wasn't really your frequency anyway. You were just holding this space for what you thought you were supposed to be, and it sends mixed signals to people. I know that you hold workshops periodically for people to help them learn all of this stuff. So you want to tell us a little bit about how those work?
Yeah. So the most mind-blowing thing about the mind-body connection and these tools is that it's really, really simple. It's just not easy because it's a big kind of change, and you really have to learn how to implement these tools, but it is super simple. I did an interview recently, Dr. Dave Clark. He wrote a book in 1983 about stress illness. Very beautiful, incredible man and doctor. I was on his YouTube and we were chatting, and he said, Aoife, you're not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist, but yet we can both help people with these problems. He was really emphasizing that it's simple. So, and I believe in simple as a highly sensitive person that was stuck in fight or flight. It's like, I don't need more things, complicated things, right? I want simple and easy. So I'm all about the simple, effective tools. So on my workshops, I teach my tools. Like, it's no secret. I'm not like, keeping everything to myself. That the same tools I still use to this day to continue to heal, that I healed my fibromyalgia, sleep problems, depression, anxiety, and IBS. And the same tools my paying clients use. It's just that because me and my paying clients spend such a long time together, they get all this training up in these tools. But you can get them for free on my workshop. And yeah, I teach these 3 golden keys, 3 golden rules of this 3-step process that you just, once you can really grasp and really understand, then you can use it to heal yourself from so many different mental and physical afflictions.
So what are the 3 steps?
So step 1 is always to it's new information, right? So we think about me when I found that video, this was new information. So it's really, and this is going to start to deactivate your symptoms, because at the moment, if you have a symptom, let's just say migraine, for instance, right? Just say it's a neural network, right? Just say the symptom is a neural loop. And that in that migraine, when that migraine hits, or it's starting to hit, you have an emotional reaction to that, right? You're like sad, you're scared in the moment. And then you also have memories about the past. You're like, I remember that I couldn't go to my best friend's wedding because of this symptom. I lost my job over this symptom, all these emotional impacts. I missed a lot of school, all these different things. And then you have the worry about the future. Like, am I going to be able to get through this day? Am I going to lose my job? Will I be able to go to work tomorrow? Will I be able to pick up my granny, whatever, right? So, and there's so much more. But that's a huge amount of stress, all firing up that loop, right? So you need to learn how to start to interrupt that loop. So at the moment, you're actually contributing, like you don't realize that you don't know, and you're not bad or wrong for doing it. It's a normal reaction. But at the moment, there's a part of you that's contributing to all of those symptoms. So you need to learn with this new information and a few little tricks how to interrupt that loop, so you start to kill it off. It's just like you're going to start to eventually kill that off. Then there's another part to this, which is, often we're carrying around a huge amount of shame. Let's just say as women in general, we're very shamed. We're extra brutally hard on ourselves. We have a lot more fear as well. The fact that we can be in actual danger a lot of the time, financial fear. We're more vulnerable in this particular society and culture we live in, right? But then you throw into it pains and illness and, not being able to contribute or look after us or do our daily tasks or whatever, right? And you don't want to be a burden to people. You feel like you're a burden to people. So there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes with the symptoms. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We don't know, but they're all feeding each other, right? And we have a very low self-esteem and idea about who we are. I thought I was a terrible, awful person. I was riddled with guilt from the past. I was brutally hard on myself, and that's an impossible internal environment to live in, and it's going to be stressful, and you're not going to feel safe, and your nervous system is going to be lit. So you're going to need. So there's a bit of shifting. It's like from zero to hero, I call it. We start to shift the vantage or the lens that you see yourself in, and you can see that you can be truly proud. There are things that you can be truly proud of yourself, or so it's not a positive thinking, fake it till you make it system. It's shifting the vantage so you can genuinely see that there's so much that you have to be proud of yourself for. and so many gifts that you have that you're just not seeing right now. And then there's another part to this system, which is re-engaging in your life. So in what lights you up and what brings you joy, because often when you have become consumed by symptoms, shame or guilt, anxiety, depression, you have started to stop participating in things that you love. So like, for instance, people with back pain might stop playing a sport that they love, or they stop picking up their kids or puppies, stop playing, they become really cautious. I stopped eating foods that I loved, stopped eating foods together with people, eating out. Then I stopped drinking and stopped doing, socializing. So you can see you start to actually withdraw more from life and from yourself. And then there's a huge, you just get lost. Like, I stopped listening to music. Like, you just get so lost in your fear and your symptoms, and you so a massive part of that is coming back to you, is coming back to your soul, and coming back to pleasure and play. Especially women that are racked with shame and guilt, we're just like, couldn't possibly, do something good for ourselves, couldn't possibly enjoy pleasure just for the sake of pleasure, joy just for the sake of joy. It has to be, there has to be an intention behind it all. So it's really shifting that, because joy and pleasure and play and fun are really important for regulating your nervous system and sending safety signals, because you're not going to laugh and play when you're in fight or flight. So getting you back into that state and those activities is going to do the opposite of fight or flight, and it's going to start to relax your nervous system. You're going to send it messages of safety, and you'll feel like you have more purpose as well, and connected to yourself. And then you start to get all your feel-good chemicals back. You start to feel joy again, feel like yourself again. And then it's just a process of rinse and repeat and over and over again. And I teach my clients just very, very in detail how to apply it to their different symptoms, to their different circumstances, to their different lives. And they get really good at this system, and then they are trained up in self-healing, how to heal themselves, fully empowered. The sky's the limit.
That is so powerful. And I know from experience it does work. It changes your whole life and outlook on how you're living your life. So, Aoife, how do people get in touch with you if they want to come to your workshop, if they want to just reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, so I do a lot of free calls. I love chatting with people. I do free health audit calls. Or I have the social media, I have my Instagram, I have the YouTube channel where I've interviewed many of these doctors and psychotherapists and many other people just like you and I who've healed themselves through this kind of work. So super inspiring people. And then you have all the science of the doctors and everything. So it's a really good mix on the YouTube channel. So, and I have, then if you head over to my website, I usually have a link on my website if I have an upcoming free workshop, and you can jump in there, register and come to my next free workshop. Or you can watch the replays of my workshop if you want to get in my free Facebook group as well. So there's lots of different ways that we can connect, and don't be a stranger. Come and say hi. I love to chat. And I have loads of free resources. So if you just ask, then I can point you in the right direction.
That's awesome. And we'll be sure to put all those notes in there, or those links in the show notes below. So, Aoife, what's the one thing you want the audience to take away from this conversation today?
there was a time, and I have this photo, I wish I could show it to you, but there's this photo of me and I have no light in my eyes. I just look, and I only saw it recently, and I couldn't believe, I was so scared, and there was no hope for me back then. And yeah, I just didn't know what to do. So if you're in a position like that, and I just want to inspire you to reach out and to listen to success stories, listen to other people who have overcome all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be your exact illness, your exact circumstances, but people who have overcome really big adversities, and take inspiration and just decide that you're going to do it too, and be defiant in your actions and be relentless in your actions. And I really believe the sky is the limit, and that you can do it.
That's so powerful. And our brains are such amazing creations. They're so powerful, and we really can do anything if we have the right tools. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible story and hope for people that are out there in pain. If you're in pain, really look Aoife up.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so beautiful connecting with you and chatting with you all. And I look forward to connecting in the future.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.